All right, everyone, welcome back to the Nitty Gritty Real Estate Podcast. This is part 4 of our mini-series, and we've covered a lot of topics to lead to this point. And today we're talking about going from being a renter to a landlord. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm Jesse Rojas. I'm joined with Tom Krieger here. And let's talk about what we need to do and how to get there to change places.
Okay. Well, first of all, Jesse, thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate it. This is your first podcast with us, and we're very blessed to have you on. They're a very knowledgeable real estate agent in your own right. Hey, Jesse, so I want to answer that first question. How do we start the process of changing from being that tenant to being the landlord, right? Mm-hmm. Number one, start by knowing your options.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. Know your credit standing. Know how much money you have in savings. Know what your debt to income ratios are. Work with a qualified real estate agent. You want to work with a real estate agent who understands this entire process of getting you from being a renter to eventually getting you to be a landlord. It's important that you lay out a plan with your real estate agent and maybe your financial advisor too. And it wouldn't hurt to bring your tax consultant in. Get all 4 of those people working together with you, all right? And then go out and purchase your first home. Now, we talked about that in the previous podcast, how to get your home. So we're going to move forward from purchasing that first home to understanding the equity position that you have in that first home. So number one, after 3 years, 1 to 3 years basically, your equity position could be about 25% of the value of your house currently.
Wow, that's a big number.
That could be a huge number. So think about it, is in your first home purchase, you acquired it, and let's just use an average. It was a first-time home. You acquired it at $250,000, okay? So you're going to have roughly about $67,000 worth of equity in that house after 3 years.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. You can do a lot with that money.
Exactly.
You can do a whole lot.
So the next step, and I talked about this before, about taking, in a previous episode, taking out the equity. You don't really want to take the equity out of a home to buy a car or to pay off a college loan. The only time you want to take money out of your home is to use it to buy another investment. Most of the time, because this is what I do for a living, I want to suggest you take the money out of your home in the equity position, you use it to buy another home. So you acquire something, what we call as a HELOC loan. It's a home equity line of credit. So the acronym is HELOC. And you can take that money out of the first home you're in and use it as a down payment for another home.
And that could be pretty substantial, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, we're talking about $67,000, and that is a hefty down payment on something, depending on whatever loan product you're going with, right?
Exactly.
So, like if you're moving up, like if you buy your first property and you're moving up to another one, you can definitely put down a smaller amount towards that new property and then get that other one out on rental, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of the process that we're looking at.
Exactly, Jesse. So I always tell people, if you want to build generational wealth through real estate, your very first home should be a starter home, and it's not going to be your forever home. So when you develop that equity in there and you pull that equity out and use it for the down payment for the next home, that's a home that you're stepping up to. You're moving up. You're either moving into a larger home, you're moving into a more desirable area, maybe better schools. And then the first home, you make that the rental property. Okay?
Now, let me ask a question.
Sure.
Should we have a potential renter in place already with some kind of agreement before we go looking for financing on the next one?
Remember in the first part when I said how to start changing places, you're going to find the right real estate agent and you're going to build that plan. Part of that plan is you laying out what are the rents going to be for this home when it's rentable. In other words, by the time I get done with this home. Now, what we have seen in the past, and this is something that's kind of new to the market right now, is people are doing this, but they're buying brand new construction. And they're waiting for that construction to be finished. Then they move into that. In the meantime, the house they've been in for 3 years, They're making sure things are perfect. They're what we call tenant proofing them. And then they're doing their homework on what rents are going to be. Make sure that you're renting this house so you can cover your mortgage payments that you have, plus your HELOC payment. Remember, you've got 2 payments there. Now you've got your original mortgage and then you've got a HELOC. So you want at the very minimum that rent to cover the mortgage payment plus the HELOC payment.
Yep. And this is another reason to have a big team, right? To have a team that's on your side guiding you through this entire process.
Like I said, the real estate agent, obviously yourself, a banker, your tax preparer, and maybe a financial advisor, okay? So we're in there. Now we've acquired the HELOC. We have the money. We purchase the next home, whether it's a new build construction or it is an existing home. We're out of the house. We've got the tenant in there. We're in the new house, right?
Yep.
3 years, what do we do? In 3 years, again,
rinse and repeat,
right?
That's how you're going to generate that generational wealth.
Exactly. That's how I do it with this. I rinse and repeat it with the shampoo, right?
Well,
Yeah, you do it down here. So Jesse, that's how you start it. Now, you have to find the right guide. And when I say guide, I mean real estate agent. But in any journey, it's always best to have a guide. You have to have a Gandalf, right? You got to have somebody that's going to take you to the promised land, okay? You need to have somebody to guide you. So how do I find the right guide? That's real important.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
It'll take some time to interview the right real estate agent. I wrote this down. I didn't want to miss this up. Don't hire a guide who has not followed the path before. You don't need to expose yourself while they learn the way too.
That's huge.
Okay? That saves time and potential money. And what I mean by potential money is that you can stop the mistakes before they happen.
Yep.
Like, I bought this house. It was inexpensive. It was a low price home, but I couldn't rent it for what my mortgage payments are because the area is changing, right? Or I bought this house and I didn't have the right inspection and it's cost me a fortune and I literally needed to take a loan on the house to fix it up to even make it livable. You don't want to go down that route, okay? Right. So make sure that the guide that you hire, the guide that you find, take your time, make sure they've done this before, they understand it, and interview them and ask them questions. Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this episode to let you know that we are a Keller Williams Southern Arizona franchise.
We are also realtors practicing equal housing.
Right. So when you're interviewing and having those questions, you want to talk about what that process will look like. If you don't know anything about it, you want to ask them, do you know this path? This is something new to me. I don't know where I need to go. Yeah. Most clients don't even have that idea in mind to rinse and repeat. So expect the right person to bring it to your attention, to come from an investment point of view, because essentially that's what it is, right?
Exactly, Jesse. You should have this in your mind when you buy the first house, okay? The concept of trying to put the milk back in the glass jar when the glass jar is broke doesn't work, right?
Right.
So remember I talked in the beginning about a business plan. The business plan is that you are thinking, I'm buying this first starter home. It's going to eventually become a rental. I'm going to move up into a next house, which eventually come to be a rental. I'm going to move into another house, which is going to become a rental, okay? That's how the business plan works about every 3 years. Now, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody wants to relocate every 3 years, right? That's fine. It's not for everybody, right? I want to say that I'm speaking specifically to tenants right now that want to become landlords, not tenants that want to buy a house and let the house appreciate in value. And that's my retirement when I get 65.
Right.
That's a different scenario.
That's completely
This is about taking and becoming a landlord from a renter. Keep your mind open that I am going to be moving about every 3 years. and I'm going to ride the appreciation, and I'm going to use that appreciation to purchase another property. And the rents on that first house eventually will be significant enough that the primary loan on the house plus the HELOC loan, there'll still be a significant amount of cash flow that you can apply to the second house to help pay that HELOC payment there.
That's great.
And as you build this, if you think about every 3 years, you're moving in a 30-year period, you can have 10 investment properties. And when all of them come to fruition, meaning the mortgages are paid off, that is mailbox money. I go down out the front door, I open the door, and I pull these checks out, all 10 checks, and guess what? I get to go to the bank and put them in the bank.
That's great. I think
Right.
everybody would love that.
Exactly. And you can do that. It is not impossible to do that. You just have to be disciplined. You have to be willing to make moves on a regular basis and always move up a little, always move up a little. Okay? You can also move down a little too as the kids leave.
That's true too.
You can start moving down a little bit, right?
Yep.
But you need to make a business decision to move from a renter to a landlord and build generational wealth. And that's what we're talking about. So you can pass it down to those kids that have left the house. It's nothing more than a business decision. The business you make decisions on is a business that you want to be involved in, right? You don't make business decisions on businesses you don't want to be involved in. So you got to want to be involved in this. And again, I want to stress this. This is not for everybody.
Right.
But the people that want to build generational wealth from being a renter, this is how you do it.
This is really amazing to me.
Yeah.
Right. We look at some of the most wealthiest people that are out there, right? We're talking about Warren Buffett, all these other individuals, and they've achieved their wealth through real estate transactions. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so many examples.
Yeah.
And the path has already been forged. All we have to do is follow in their steps to be able to do this.
So Herb Cole, who used to own the Cole's food store, was a senator from Wisconsin I knew personally. He had 6,000 doors at one time.
Wow, that's
Think
incredible.
that through.
That's a massive
And I'm not talking
number.
about the front door, back door. I'm talking about a unit, right?
Right.
A unit by itself. He had 6,000 before he was 50 years old.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So
And it's doable. That's the thing. It is
definitely
doable.
is doable. And the more you do it with the guides there, you may look for different guides, or your guide might grow with you. Okay, it's not set in stone that you'll stay with the same guide.
Right.
You may outgrow the guide. You may outgrow the real estate agent. You may end up going from 10 single family homes to one 24-unit apartment complex.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Now you want to move over to a different type of guide, a commercial guide.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a complete topic on itself,
Yeah.
I think. But I think these are huge points for anybody really seriously considering becoming a landlord from a renter position. This is even a great plan for someone that has already made their first acquisition.
Absolutely.
In
You
a-
just
in a
pick
home.
it up from step 2, right?
There you go.
So I've lived in my house 8 or 9 years. And I've, and what's happened the last 2 years,
Right.
right?
We're seeing some massive appreciation.
20 to 18%, anywhere from 30 to 40% appreciation rates over the last 2 years.
It's true.
There is tons of equity. If you haven't stole it, and if you haven't stolen from your future,
Right.
that's what I say. If you start taking money out of your equity position and you're buying Mercedes Benzes or you're taking trips to Italy, you're stealing from your future. Don't steal from your future.
Right. And the right guide is going to give you the tools to monitor this kind of action, right? So
Yes.
one of the tools that we have at our disposal, we partner with some lenders to get it. It's called HomeBot. We get to show everybody on a monthly basis what the market's trending on specifically for their property. And you can see some pretty huge results, as I have seen, where my property is even appreciated close to $100,000 from when I first checked it in 2018.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible thing. And guess what, everybody? I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be jumping in.
You think about some people, it would take them 4 years to make, at their normal job, to make $100,000, right?
Right.
And you didn't do, quote, quote, anything during that 4-year period.
Right.
It just made itself. Again, it's passive, but it's not passive. You've got to work it.
And what was the appreciation gains that you had mentioned? 24, 18%?
Yeah. So in certain areas of the country, it was as much as 40%.
Wow.
Okay. Other areas like Tucson, it's 18%.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Think about your average 401k return on your investment there.
No.
It's not even close.
As we're talking right now, the stock market had gone into correction mode, and now it's to the downside, to a bear side. But now recently it's correcting back up to a bull market from the bear market. But that moves up and down.
Right.
One thing I want to share with people is that everybody has this fear about 2008. Those were extenuating circumstances with poor, credit-worthy buyers, and the politicians created an environment where they forced the banks to lend to these people.
Right.
We don't have that anymore.
No, the lending
is tightened up like a noose around your neck. Okay.
Yeah, those conditions are gone.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, Jesse. We all know that the houses have appreciated so much that if you lost your job, you can sell your house and still have money.
Right.
Back then, you couldn't sell your house. You'd have to come to closing with money. You didn't have the money to come to closing with, so they just walked to the bank. Just, thank you, Mr. Banker. I can't make my payment. Here's your asset back.
That's crazy. I know a couple other things that we've talked about in previous podcasts. The market is shifting a bit. We're not seeing nearly as many. Now, this is the part that I think is really important for people to know. We're not seeing very many foreclosures happening as we did back then. We don't see a lot of people underwater with their assets, right? So it's good to get in touch with someone that can help you understand what you have in your hands so that you can make these moves.
Exactly. The right guide, we say.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this mini series of what it's like to become ultimately a landlord from the very beginning to now. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Thank you for listening and watching the Nitty Gritty of Real Estate podcast here with the Tom J. Krieger team of Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. If you are interested in buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in real estate, we have 5,000 agents across the country that we can connect you to. If you need any free resources, feel free to check out our website at www.thetjkteam.com. We hope you have a great day.